All right, ladies and gentlemen, the voice of reason here coming to you live one more time this evening. I left on a pretty negative note the last episode, which is why I'm gonna do this again because I really don't like leaving everybody on a negative note. So here we go. Um, we're gonna talk about what I feel doesn't get enough press, and I know a lot of these guys do this for press sometimes, but I think that the act itself being of a good nature outweighs the fact that maybe they're doing it for just press. Actors Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston went to a hospital with sick children to visit in character. Uh, Tom Hiddleston went with the hair that he possesses when he's Loki, looking much like Loki, that you see in the movies. And Chris Hemsworth went as, the scruffy beard, blonde haired Thor with Mjolnir in hand, miniature Mjolnir that a child has. And, you know, this sort of thing, while it takes them 10 minutes to do, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to do, it is a life changing event for a young child who's dealing with something that, is life threatening or very serious. I myself am disabled, so I can understand what that means to a kid who's in a bad situation to have something fun and good happen. You know, I believe that the medical field is wonderful, and I believe that doctors save lives and all the time, but I also believe that if you have the right frame of mind when you go into a fight like this, be it cancer or any other debilitating illness that you may encounter, or something like that would happen, if you go into it with the right attitude, if you go into it feeling like you can beat it, if you go into it with a smile on your face knowing that there's good things going to come to you on the other side of it, you can overcome. You can make something ugly not define you as a person. You can achieve these things if you have the right mindset. This goes with anything that you want to achieve in your life. You may not be overcoming an illness, you may be overcoming a bad situation in life. If you hang your head, if you feel downtrodden, if you don't take the bull by the horns, you may not win that fight. And what these guys, Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth, are doing is giving a kid an opportunity to smile in the face of adversity. They may not even realize the fact that they're doing this for this young person. They may think that it's a nice gesture and it'll be there for them for a day or two and then they'll be on about their way. But you know what? I remember being a young kid. I remember sitting in my room watching Michael Jordan in the playoffs. And I had a broken arm. I was in a cast. And I remember watching the playoff game and thinking, like, this is cool. This is important. It goes to show you that your perspective, if you can think outside of yourself and not be down about your situation, how much quicker it feels like everything heals itself, or you're able to come out of that situation that's terrible because you're not solely dwelling on it and you're not focusing negative energy onto yourself. I believe in mind over matter a great deal. I believe in people trying to psych themselves out of things, which is why people have a defeatist mentality in life. I just told a friend of mine, I just had a conversation with him about 20 minutes before I went live here at 8 o'clock Eastern, that sometimes you got to do things outside of your comfort zone because there's never going to be a perfect situation to do the things that you want to do in life. I believe that wholeheartedly because a lot of times the situations that I personally been through in life, I wasn't feeling 100%. There were certain things that were bothering me and I had to go through it anyway. I've taken final exams in high school with broken ribs. You may not be feeling up to it, but sometimes in life you got to get the job done. And that goes without saying, in anything that you do, you may not feel your best every time you go into something tough, but you got to look at that situation for what it is and tackle it. You can't let it define you that you're sick and that's an excuse for you not to succeed. You got to attack. You got to be the type of person that you want to be, not the type of person that you could be if you defeat yourself before the fight ever begins. And I went on to that long speech because I believe that whether Loki and Thor, comic book fans, you'll know who I'm talking about, know it. They provided these young people with something to draw on when they're not feeling themselves. Something to say, hey, that was cool. Maybe if I hang on, if I fight really hard, more cool things will happen to me in the future. Something to make it so that they won't give up. And I think a lot of times that's what it takes when you're dealing with these illnesses is not giving up, not looking at yourself as if you're a lost cause, not thinking that it's over before it's ever begun. And that's what these guys, I believe, do for these kids when they go to these hospitals and they talk to the kids and they do these things. The athletes do the same thing. Um, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, guys in WWE, guys in baseball, guys in football. Those things that you do for these kids at Shriners and at Boston Children's Hospital and every place in between. If you're there for them, they look up to you. They realize that you don't have to be there, but you're taking time out for them. That means a lot to a kid. That means a lot to anybody, but it means especially more to a young child that's going through something very severe. And I commend these guys and all people who do it for taking their time to help these kids through these tough times, whether it be for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. That spark could be the thing that it takes for them to get over what they're going through. Um, Another thing that I want to talk about is that I'm going to have a few guests on my podcast in the coming weeks. I hope you guys who are listening enjoy that. We're going to have a friend of mine who's a former gymnast. She's going to come on and talk to us about that, about clean eating, and about ways that we can all get in shape because I don't know about you, but I personally need to get in better shape. I'm going to have on September 3rd, tentatively, I'm going to have a friend of mine who was a DJ in Florida come on and talk to us about how she got started. Probably a lot of other things. We've known each other for a lot of years. She's going to come on and talk to us about her journey to becoming a DJing, as she likes to call it, a female DJ, and what is mostly a male dominated genre. Um, and we're going to talk to hopefully, hopefully, a few more friends of mine in the near future to talk to you about what interests them and the things that they can talk to you about that maybe I don't have expertise in. We're going to do some interview style podcasts in the coming days, weeks, months. I look forward to that. I hope whoever listens to this, does as well. Again, you can contact me on Twitter, 86 Voice of Reason. You can tell me whatever you feel like I missed, whatever I didn't get right. You can tell me what you thought was good about what I said. You can tell me anything. That's what social media is there for. I want to leave you guys with the following thoughts about everything, basically. I've been on here talking about politics. I've talked about sports. I've talked about sad stories. I talked about funny stories. I talked about everything. I started this because I'm looking for something to do. I'm looking for something that may even be a career for me one day. I want to be honest with you and say that when I started this, I didn't know all that it was. I didn't know how intensive it was. I didn't know how video editing even worked. Some of you may look at my YouTube videos, the earlier ones, and realize that I was editing them myself. Spreaker, which I'm talking to you on now, has a built-in video poster, so I can take my live broadcast and put it out over YouTube. So I didn't have to do that. So although I find myself being technologically advanced, even I make mistakes and don't do everything perfect. But I want you guys to take this and understand that you don't have to be perfect at everything you do as long as you give it your best effort. That counts for every single thing you can possibly do. A lot of people tell you that nobody cares about second place, but you know what? I think that that's not necessarily true. I think people respect you if you try your hardest at something. Whether you succeeded, you failed, came in second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever. The Olympians, I know that they feel the same way. When you try your hardest at something, when you do everything you can do, I think that there's a respect factor there that people will have for you. And that's why I'm here doing this. I'm here giving it my shot. Whether it turns into something great, whether it turns into something that was purely fun for me, it really doesn't matter. I just wanted to try. I thank you all for listening. I hope you listen next week. I hope you listen every week, actually. Um, I'm not sure yet what we're going to cover next week, but hopefully it'll be interesting for you. Thanks for listening. I told you where you can find me. Twitter, 86 Voice of Reason. Hit me up. Tell me what you thought. Voice of Reason. Out.